Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So today we're going to be aging some metal miniatures. There are a couple miniatures I made and some things that I had bought previously for the rooming house dollhouse that need to look a little bit more beat up. So what I'm doing is adding some gesso to it. Gesso is a medium that kind of has a matte effect, but it has a what I call a little bite to it, so that when you put other things on top of it, it clings really well. Some things are a little bit difficult to get things to stick to, especially metal, if you don't do something like this to make it adhere. Okay, so I'm just swiping it on the areas where I want my paint and things to stick or to stand out. So just edging it. This is a bucket. Now the other pot I actually just made out of a lid, an old wine bottle lid I had. So I can definitely do a video to show you how I did that. This is like a bottle of some kind of, I don't know, cough syrup, medicine, or whatever, just some type of lid. Flipped it over, added handles to it. So now I'm adding the gesso so I can make it look a little burned and beat up. Now this little piece was something I bought. Didn't like the color, painted it. So now I'm adding gesso to it as well. No, I did have a little lid, so just anywhere I think I want some dirt, the burn, the rust to hit, I'm adding the gesso. I had another pan like that first one I made, so I said I was going to do it and around the handles. Okay, so anywhere you want the dirt and grime and rust to stick, hit it with the gesso. Okay, so letting that dry. So moving on to the tools. I had a little set of tools I got somewhere, but they look way too shiny and bright. Never looked like any of the tools I ever saw growing up. So I definitely wanted to age and distress them as well, using the gesso, acrylic paint, same type of deal. So now we're back to the pans. I'm adding the black paint. It's just a regular acrylic paint. I kind of did a circular motion and then just kind of let it like get kind of all over the bottom. Didn't want it to be perfect because burns don't happen perfectly. Oops. And I just kind of, just based on what my imagination was about how an old burnt pan would look. And people didn't always throw out those old burnt pans. Some of the most delicious food I had, it came out of pans that looked like that. So just, kind of just rusting it up, making it look a little beat up, distressed. And to me, things like this add so much more realism to your scenes than everything looking perfect, because anything that's been touched by a human is no longer perfect. And if you have kitchen utensils that are never used, I don't trust you as a cook. Okay. So that is looking good. Looks really beat up, really bad. Didn't want the inside to look bad because generally it would be the outside. I wanted it to be a clean pot, but just really burn up and beat up on the outside. And that's the little lid that goes to it. Okay. And just adding a little bit more distress into that top piece. And I actually have sort of like a rose gold type acrylic paint that I was using as well, just to add it here and there. Didn't want a lot of rust, but just little touches of it. Okay, so now adding the burn or blackening the bottom of this pan around the edges. See, I'm doing it in kind of like a circular motion, just kind of to represent like the eyes of a stove, but just let it go up around the top. I think these will look really great in a sink or stacked up, looking a little rough. They actually, I think it would add a lot of realism to my kitchen scene in the rooming house dollhouse. So yep, getting around those handles. Just take your time and just think about, what something like that would look like. Or you may have something in your kitchen that looks like that. And there we go. That looks like a great distressed pan. Okay, and last but not least, this little one that I purchased that I'm just trying to fix it up so I'll like it again, because I didn't like it when I originally had it in a set that I received. I painted it silver with that Testors metallic paint, so now I'm just distressing it, and it'll just look fine among the collection of beat up and rusty things in the kitchen. I don't like everything to look all perfect in my kitchens. I like it to look a little bit distressed and worn. Okay, now moving on. So I had a few tools that looked just a little bit too bright and shiny. None of the tools that I've ever saw ever looked like that, except when they came right from the hardware store. So I wanted to give them a little dirt and tarnish, a little rust, and I also have a little rickety box for them. Okay, finishing those up, now to some more fun. So I was already making a mess, having a great time, and I said, what about those doorknobs? And I got this really great product I wanted to go ahead and try out. Now, I've never used this product before. I said I wanted to try it and see how it worked. I had a few things that I wanted to age and distress a little bit more. Now, those doorknobs and those hooks that I got in the haul that I shared a couple days ago, I had, well, those I had already, but I had got hooks for the back doors of some of the rooming house, dollhouse doors. And they just look a little bit too bright and shiny. So I figured I'd do the doorknobs and the hooks. So in the process, I decided not to do the hooks online or in the video. They're too tiny. So I just focused more on the doorknobs. And you'll see the hooks when I actually install them on the doors. I'm sure I'll do a video about that. But this gives you a comparison of how much better they look with the rub and buff on them. Now this was a little mirror that I had in a lot. Didn't know what to do with it. Didn't like it. So I decided I would put some of the rub and buff on it to see how I liked it. And I liked it a lot better. Now I realized after a while, even though the gloves was working on this particular item, I actually really felt like it was real awkward and clunky because I felt like my fingers weren't really getting in the spots like I wanted. So just looking back at the overall project, I'm really pleased with the pots and how I aged and distressed them. Thought they came out really great, really great. It looks like an old pot that may have belonged to someone's great grandmother, and they just kept it in the family, kept using it, although it was really beat up and rough. They had had some wonderful meals out of that pot, and they didn't want to get rid of it. Okay, so yeah, there's another one, just a carryover. Yeah, I think those look really great, and they'll look really, add a lot of realism to the kitchen scenes in the rooming house, dollhouse. So I'm very satisfied with the overall outcome of those pots. Okay, and that was a pot that I really didn't like, but now it's going to work out well. I'm going to put a hook on the wall in the rooming house, dollhouse kitchen, and it will look great. And there's the bucket. Yeah, nice and scuffed up, a little rust on the corners and the edges. Now that's what a bucket is supposed to look like, I think. Very good. So turning my attention to the rub and buff project. Now the brassy pieces, the brass on them came out nice. You can see really close up that you can see a little brass up near the doorknobs. I'm just doing a comparison with the hooks. Hooks are really yellow looking. So I'm going to do those off camera because they were way too tedious to do on camera. But I realized in working with the rub and buff, it's much easier for me to use a teeny weeny little brush to get in all the little nooks and crannies on the miniatures. Don't know why this didn't come to me before I before I finished the other pieces, but I'm going to do the sconces with the rub and buff. Take that yellow off of them so they'll look a little bit more antique. And it was really easy. It wasn't very messy at all, just using the brush. But I thought that I needed the gloves previously. Now, you know, this sconce was from the eBay haul video that I showed you, and also I had it in the Trash to Treasure video. Definitely check out those videos if you haven't seen them already. So you'll actually know like what was the origin of that particular item. And also these individual pieces, I broke them off of a lamp that was in the hall and turned them into sconces. And now I am knocking down the brass color with the rub and buff. So I'm very pleased with how these came out overall. They look really, really pretty to me. I'm really satisfied with the overall effect, and I think they'll look great when I install them on the doors. And even the little mirror that I didn't like, it actually looks much better now that I've put the rub and buff around the edges. And again, the little brush did a little bit better job getting in some of those little nooks and crannies. So this is my project for today. I think everything came out really nice, really made a big difference to me in the realism of how these pieces look by just aging them and distressing them a little bit. Oh no, the tools. One moment. I forgot. I set them aside to dry and almost forgot. This is the little toolbox I had. Threw all the little beat up tools in it, so that looks a lot better, a lot more realistic. So if you enjoyed this video today, let me know in the comments. You know, I want you to like, share, subscribe, and then make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll know when I'm uploading a new video for the Rooming House Dollhouse here on Little Gretchen's Workshop. Thanks so much for watching, dolls. Bye-bye.